GNC-572. It's Monday, May 3rd, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Here I got a great show for you. Lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Voice ready confirmed.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from Albuquerque, New Mexico via the portable Geek News Central studio. And yes, another city, another week. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Todd Cochran. I want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content over there. Of course, check out our archive podcast available via the podcast link. All of you that are joining us live on Ustream, hey, let everybody know that we're up and live right this moment. And just send a tweet out and send them over to the show. I definitely appreciate it. And just send them over to geeknewscentral.com. That'll get them on. But wow, how's everybody doing? I tell you, it's been an interesting. Well, see, the last show was Thursday in Dallas, and I basically flew out Saturday morning, got into Honolulu late Saturday afternoon. Basically, got to the house, dropped my clothes in the laundry, took care of things with the kids and the wife and the honey-do list, and got turned around. And then Sunday night, which was last night, flew out from Honolulu back to Albuquerque. Why I did not just fly from Dallas to Albuquerque? Well, two different people paying the bill, and weird how they want to work the money. But anyway, glutton for punishment. I did get some great sleep. I think my body just said, I've had enough, and I was able to sleep out of Honolulu all the way to Denver. And but it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad when the flight attendant says to you, "Sir, were you on the airplane coming from Denver yesterday?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's just like, "Oh man, you're a glutton for punishment." And I am. But it's been a great day. I've worked all day. Haven't had to went to sleep. It's I just feel like I'm on my regular time zone, and having spent so little time at home, it's exactly that. But I want to remind everyone, if you're new to the show, hey, you can check the show out on Roku, on the Blueberry Roku channel. We hope within the next couple of days, the Tech Podcast channel will be approved on the Roku, so hopefully we'll have that up directly. Of course, if you have your Apple TV hacked to use Boxy, you can watch us on Boxy as well. And, of course, I want to thank the sponsors, as I do every new month. You know, really, you guys came through, took care of the sponsors last month. I definitely appreciate it. They're here for another go-around this month, and I hope that you guys will continue to support the sponsors. Really, they help me keep the lights on, keep me doing what I'm doing. The consulting doesn't hurt, and, of course, travel with Raw Voice as well. So, but everything you guys can do to support the sponsors, a big mahalo, big thank you to all the sponsors. Of course, if you're new to the show, I'm normally recording this show out of my studio in Honolulu, but my studio has been dark quite a few days the past month or so, being on the road. And I'll be here in Albuquerque all week. We'll be having a meetup with the Ohana. Basically, Ohana, it really stands for family of the show. And Sam Garcia is a longtime listener of the show. He's going to be taking care of the arrangements for a Friday night meetup. But he's telling me I have to meet him for breakfast Thursday morning because he has something that he wants to share with me that I will be able to talk about during the show Thursday night. So I got to get it back with Sam, and him and I are going to have to hook up for breakfast Thursday morning. But anyway, hey, also, don't forget, fellas, don't forget your moms. Mother's Day is fast approaching, and I've got to get prepared here. I've got to get something sent to Mom while I'm here in Albuquerque as well, and kind of hook my kids up too to make sure that they were good to go to get get Mom a present, or something to that effect. But don't forget, Mother's Day is this upcoming weekend. I'm going to be here for 2 shows. Then we'll be back in Honolulu for 3 shows. Following that, I leave to go to Dearborn and tour the Ford Motor Company plant. Been invited out there with a couple of podcasters and some bloggers. So Jeffrey Powers over at geekazine.com, he's going to be going as well. So I'll be going out to Ford be actually touring the plant on May 20th, was actually a show day. So probably what is going to happen is once I get done touring the facilities at Ford that Thursday, I'm going to drive immediately to my mom's house. So depending on what time I get in there, which is a couple hours drive, will depend on whether I do a show Thursday night on the 20th or one Friday morning on the 21st. Hey, we're still giving away a Roku, so if you want to have a chance to win a Roku, a set-top box, or over-the-top TV, send an email to geeknews@gmail.com. Put Roku in the subject line and basically just a little note on why you should win one. It really doesn't matter if you put anything in there or not because we'll count you anyway. But definitely we'll have a drawing for that on the next show. All of you that had already entered once before, you're already entered to win, so don't worry. I want to thank Jack for dinner on Friday when I was in Dallas, but I have to put out an apology to one of the Ohana because apparently I was supposed to text somebody and let them know I was in town, and I failed to do that. I feel really bad, and I'll make it up to that listener next time I'm in Dallas. Just too many balls in the fire is what it really ended up being. Hey, make sure you get subscribed to the show if you're new. If you'll find a link to that on the website, of course, you'll find Zoom Marketplace, iTunes, an RSS feed, whatever it takes to get subscribed. And I'm going to have a new thing for you here, probably on the next show, too. You guys are going to love this. We'll talk about it during the show notes tonight. Something for those of you that have Nokia phones. We'll be able to get you hooked up. Let me see here. What else I got on my list here? Of course, hey, you can sign up for our newsletter as well. The newsletter gets you all of the content basically summarized in an email about what I talk about tonight, basically all the listener links and all of the stuff that I'm going to cover during the content portion of the show. So definitely get subscribed to the newsletter. You can find that linked up on the website. I did get an email from one of the listeners saying, Todd, I could not find your GoDaddy link for promo codes. Here's the deal on that. The GoDaddy promo codes can be found, linked to the actual page with all the codes can be found in the second column of the website. It says GoDaddy, Geek News Central, GoDaddy promo codes or something to that effect. Click on that. That'll get you the list of all of them that are available. And of course, GoDaddy's a longtime sponsor here. And if you're looking for a domain name, dedicated server, virtual dedicated server, shared hosting account, really GoDaddy is where it's at. And they've got the absolute best full line of services that you would ever possibly need to get up and running with a website and email and everything else, commerce, you name it, they've got it. And when you get to that checkout counter, don't forget your geek here at Geek News Central because that promo code GEEK will save you some money. Promo code Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. Geek5 will save you 15% on orders $20 or more. Todd20 will save you 20% on a 1-year shared hosting account. So that's if you want to get a hosting account and you basically need one of the lower end hosting accounts where it's a shared hosting account. Sign up for a year, use that Todd20, you'll get 20% off on that 1-year prepaid purchase. So I want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here of the show as well. Did have a couple of things here. How many of you use Jungle Disk? I ran into a problem with Jungle Disk, and what Jungle Disk does is it allows you to essentially connect to your Amazon buckets. Now, those of you that use Amazon as a storage place, and I've been using it for a while, but I've been primarily using Jungle Disk to map drives to the actual gosh, I'm pulling a prank here. It maps the drives to the bucket, and now, with the new updated Jungle Disk, I get the blue screen of death on my Windows machine. So what are you guys using out there to really log into your buckets? What are you using? Love to hear what kind of applications you're using, or if you have something that's tied to Explorer. Really like to get away from using Jungle Disk. While it was handy, boy, just can't keep it from crashing my machine. And I've talked to them in support, and they really weren't that much help. Gave me a few ideas, but it didn't fix it. So love to hear you on that. Hey, as always, GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting is a longtime sponsor at the show, and if you're looking for the best web conferencing solution, really, GoToMeeting is where it's at. You can basically get up in a conference with another person or a group of people. They see what you see. You can see their screen if you so choose. You can use the voice IP feature where you actually talk through just a microphone on your machine, and you don't have to dial in anywhere. GoToMeeting is absolutely unequivocally the best online conferencing solution available. It works. It just works. It's the best way to have an online meeting. You hear stuff being advertised by different companies, and I attend a lot of different webinars by a variety of different vendors, and invariably, when I'm in a session with somebody, either their screen is freezing and it doesn't work, GoToMeeting absolutely works. So definitely check it out. Save time, save money. Don't have to get up and drive or go someplace. You guys know that I use it. I use it on a daily basis. Actually, I didn't use it today, but I normally use it every day. And it's the best $49 I spend every month. You can get a free 30-day trial by going to gotomeeting.com/techpodcast. That's gotomeeting.com/techpodcast for your free 30-day trial. Let me go ahead and look at the time here, make sure I'm getting through my entire list. Yep, got that done, that done. Think we're good there on all of my notes. Still got that Lenovo ThinkCentre A63 we're going to give away. I got to find out what's going on with that, when I can start actually having a contest to give that away. So hopefully that will be here in an upcoming show. If you're a fan of the show, make sure you subscribe, or actually change your SSID on your Wi-Fi device to geeknewscentral.com. That'll advertise the show to your neighbors, or if you live in an apartment building, that'll spread the word about the show that way. They'll say, what is this? What's it? And then probably they'll think you're the actual host of it. But definitely change over your SSID tags. And if you're looking to help out with the show, definitely consider being a contributor. You can $2, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you feel like. Definitely that helps me in my salary replacement plan and trying to be able to move my salary off of the advertising by having user supported each month, and then being able to hire someone with the actual advertising salary. So I would appreciate that if you guys could consider becoming a contributor to the show on a monthly basis. That would really help me out here in building up enough base so that we can bring some on to the show on a permanent basis. Okay, let me go ahead here, and I got a little bit of a runny nose, and don't know why I'm telling you guys that, but of course it starts immediately upon the show beginning, and I've been pretty good all day. This hotel, I've been staying at a Hilton Garden Inn, pretty nice place, but the bandwidth, 2 thumbs down. So the stream tonight is being streamed on my Verizon EVDO card. I think Verizon has Sprint beat here in Albuquerque so far from a speed basis, so that's what we're pushing the show out. If you're seeing the system drop off a little bit, I apologize. Not a lot I can do about it on the limited amount of bandwidth here. All right, first article up comes from Engadget. NVIDIA Vice President says Moore's Law is dead. Now, what's kind of funny about this is that, as a disclaimer, of course, you guys know I'm an investor in Intel. I own Intel stock, so I'm always looking, hoping that Intel will continue to do great things and keep my help with my retirement fund. But NVIDIA has basically kind of got their own little agenda here. What they're saying is Moore's Law is dead to the point of being able to double the speed of processors in the time allowed for Moore's Law. But there comes a catch here. Now, what is the VP of NVIDIA's catch? Well, his solution to the death of Moore's Law is for everyone to buy into parallel computing. Well, of course, surprise, surprise, NVIDIA's GPUs thrive on parallel computing. So we will see what becomes of this prediction by NVIDIA's VP. So the question to all of you, is it possible to continue to double the processing speed, double storage speed, double video graphic speed, as Moore's Law lies out? Or is it unattainable to maintain, the doubling of processor speeds and so forth as Moore's Law is laid out? Now, I personally don't know if it's going to be possible to maintain the pace, but I don't know. What do you guys think? geeknews@gmail.com. Of course, if you have comments on tonight's show, you can call in to the voicemail hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to 619-342-7365. All right, over the weekend, of course, the iPad 3G was introduced. Immediately, it was jailbroke. And you can, if you bought one of those devices, you can jailbreak it. Not only that, if you are so inclined, you can take a T-Mobile SIM card and you can shave it down to the size of, now this be careful out there if you do this. You may have to go get another SIM card, but you can take a T-Mobile SIM card, shave it down to the size of basically a mini SIM card. And as long as you can get it fit and the iPad to read it, you can run T-Mobile on your iPad. So anyway, that's kind of the announcements. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more here about what people have found with the 3G versus a Wi-Fi device. But what's amazing here is they've sold over 1 million iPads in the first month, really, of its release. So that's some pretty huge numbers there. But the 3G experience for most people has been a little bit disappointing. They're seeing, of course, reduced bitrate videos. The very popular ABC application is not working at all to be able to stream. When you try to use the ABC app, it basically says, please connect to a Wi-Fi network to use this application. Cellular networks are not supported at this time. There's a rumor that there is going to be a new release of the ABC app, and what's coming out on the street is there's some rules which I guess the Apple has announced, and it's a carryover from the iPhone operating system. The live streaming rule states quite clearly that you must include a low quality stream of no more than 64 kilobits per second for your app to resort to when networking conditions demand it, along with the higher quality streams you want to deliver to your customers when the network can support it. So this becomes a challenge for folks like me who really want to take my video content that I stream during the show and put it on an app. Actually, we didn't even talk about that. We'll talk about it here in a second. Put it on an app that you guys, wherever you're at, you can watch the show mobile. And so I'm really working towards really replicating some things some other shows have done. And the person that's going to be doing that is Tom. He has won the iPhone app contest. I don't know if I announced this on a previous show or not, but the overwhelming majority of you, you had three choices. You had app 1, 2, and app 3 to select from. Tom's was overwhelmingly won. I think I announced it on a previous show, but anyway, Tom's I got to meet with him this week. He's going to start working on the app, and I actually got to get a consolation prize for the contributors of app 2 and 3, so I guess put something together for them. Sam was one of my fans here in Albuquerque. The one that's scheduling the meetup was the person that submitted the number 2 app. A lot of you like that as well, along with the number 3 app. No one really had anything negative to say about any of the apps that were submitted, but number 1 definitely got the most votes. So we may be taking ideas from all 3 and tweaking them. So I got to talk to app developer number 2 and 3 that submitted to see if they'd be cool with us incorporating some of their ideas as well into the final app. But yeah, I really want to be able to make it so you guys can watch the show live when it is live or when I'm in replay mode. I've got to figure out how to quite do that in order to support these different streaming levels. But time will tell. Of course, if you're on Ustream, you can use the Ustream app to do that as well. But it's a lot easier just to have your own app. Now let's talk about having your own app. how many of you guys would like to build your own app? Well, the folks at Nokia has released today what is just, excuse me, what I think is very, very cool. It's called the OVI App Wizard. It's by Nokia. It's a beta. I was playing with it here. Matter of fact, I almost didn't get the show started on time because I was working through this thing. But it allows you to enter as many as 4 RSS feeds. You can put an app, name the applications, your logos, make your colors right, put in your email, contact, a variety of different things into it. And it's really kind of a app that is one size fits all, and it's awesome. This thing is really cool. So hopefully by the next show, those of you that are Nokia users will have access to my Nokia app, and we'll make it free, make it up and available. But this is smart by Nokia to try to make it easier for people like me that don't have a clue on how to program to be able to create an app. So anyway, I'll have the link up to the show notes. Anyone can do this. It's at oviappwizard.com. And I think I've got the makings of a Charlie horse coming on. Now that would be a first, having a Charlie horse during the show. But you guys know when your toes start feeling it, you start cramping up. And as I'm sitting here underneath the table, stretching my leg to make sure that I am not the object of a lot. You guys get your cameras ready to capture, because those of you on Ustream might get to watch me scream if the Charlie horse kicks in. I obviously have not drank enough water today. Oh gosh, too much TMI, I know. All right, Mark's Voice over at broadbandmechanics.com. Of course, this is the blog of Mark Cantor, and he what attracted me. I read his blog post, and generally they're just this. He definitely is not a writer. He's just more kind of he just spews everything he wants on his blog, and I really have a hard time following his writing. But he wrote a pretty good post today that's entitled, "This is what happens when you remain closed." And I'm going to have this up in the show notes for you. He says, there's no reason for me to write an open letter to Kevin Lynch, the current CEO of Adobe, or whoever he is. He goes on to say, I tried years ago to explain that they must open up Flash to Kevin and then CEO of Macromedia, but those people were more interested in running Macromedia as a profitable company, trying to keep Wall Street happy, hit their numbers, and leverage their locked-in platform as best they could to reap as much monetization as possible. And he says, ever wonder why you can't just right-click on a Flash object, copy it, and paste it into a blog post? He says, we're at a turning point. What I predicted in 1997, 99, 2001, 2004, and since then has come true. Flash is gone. Over. He said, what we've invented in 1984, it has run its course, beaten to death by its current owners. And then he uses an expletive to shout at them. But I think he's right. We're seeing with the just recent post of H.264 being the prevalent encoding language. We're going to talk a little bit about an update from Internet Explorer a little later in the show on why they are basically building to H.264 and not the OGG codec. But it shows this rapid climb of H.264 as being the prevalent video format on the web, with Flash basically in a nosedive. Or flat and no growth over the past couple of years. So I think this is, on point, backing up what Steve Jobs has said about Flash, and basically, it's old, it's out of date, it's going to go away. Now, I think we all know that Flash will not completely disappear for a long time, but I think we have to realize as soon as IE9 hits the street, with the current version of Firefox and Safari and Chrome starting to incorporate HTML5 components, Flash is against the ropes, and they're going to have some challenges. Now, that being said, Adobe has said that they may give their entire workforce a Flash-friendly Android phone, and it's being rumored that with all this shouting back and forth, is that all Adobe employees may be getting Android phones, and that would be 8,600 worldwide employees as a basic little shot back at Apple here. Do what they must. We know that Android supports Flash, but the question is for how long before the rest of us really implement HTML5 across the board. I'm working to do that on my blog, getting ready to install a new plugin to do that. We're doing that at Blueberry with our new site rollout. We'll be in completely HTML5 compatible, so that those those individuals visiting with an HTML5 capable browser will be able to enjoy video at a much higher resolution than what you would ever see in a Flash performance or in a Flash encode. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to develop and pan out over the next couple of years. But we're going to be ready to go one way or the other. And again, I don't think Flash is going anywhere anytime soon, because really the overhead requirements to carry a H.264 video is probably about 4 times as much as, the overhead, in other words, bandwidth needed to display H.264 encoded video is about 4 times as high as a Flash encoded video. So from a bandwidth perspective, Flash still wins, and that's really at some point, for many of us, that's going to be a big financial factor in how we show the media. All right, let's talk about spam. Well, how many of you using Gmail? Do you guys get much spam? I must admit, my spam is like minimal. Of course, every time I say that, I get a blast of it. Someone adds me to some list or something. But right now, is there a report coming out from Sophos, and this was written by Andrew, one of our contributors over at Geek News Central. He says the USA is the world's worst. The USA is the worst country in the world for relaying spam. The U.S. was responsible for 13.1%, followed by Brazil and India at 7.3% and 6.8% respectively, with UK, Russia, and Italy tied in 7th place. In a further twist, China has completely disappeared from the top 12 and now relays only about 1.9% of spam. So this shouldn't come as a surprise, because guess who has the most servers in the world? We do. So that would mean that we should probably be relaying the most amount of spam. This should not come as a surprise. All right, the International Federation of Phonographic Industry, IFPI, has published its annual review of the music industry, and there's some pretty interesting stuff here. The first headline is that music sales fell 7.2% in 2009, mainly in the United States and Japan, but also many other countries such as Australia, but countries such as Australia and the UK saw growth. Now, the total trends towards digital downloads continues, with sales of physical media falling by nearly 13%. Digital media sales grew by over 9.2%, and the U.S. digital music sales now account for 43% of the music market. Additionally, the IFPI lists the top 10 albums of 2009, and as Andrew writes at Geek News Central, I think you're going to be pretty surprised here. And IFPI primarily reports UK. Number 1, Susan Boyle, I Dreamed a Dream. 8.3 million people bought that track. I didn't know it was for sale. I thought you could just get that on YouTube. The Black Eyed Peas, The End. Michael Jackson, number 3, This Is It. Taylor Swift, Fearless, number 4. Lady Gaga, The Fame, number 5. Going down to 2 more songs by Michael Jackson, 8th and 9th. Thriller, number 1s. And 10 is a Christmas song by Andrea Bocelli. So, hey, Thriller continues to sell an amazing amount of albums, even post-mortem of Michael Jackson's death. Of course, his whole collection is probably worth more today than it was when he was alive, and that often happens. But anyway, I have this full link up to the show notes. You guys can check it out. But yet, now I didn't have this linked up in the right spot. Let me see if I can find it. Let me go down here and see if I can actually, where did I have it linked? Oh, gosh. Well, I'll come to it. I got some stuff about file sharing and how file sharing is worse than bank robbery. And I thought I had it linked up in regards to this, talking about this music sales, but I guess not. I'll get to it later in the show. Yeah, wait till you hear what people are talking about file sharing being worse than robbing a bank. Hey, over in Dubai, a picture has been taken. It's a 45 gigapixel. It's a panorama, which is now being touted the largest in the world with that detail. This thing is crazy. I mean, it is absolutely amazing picture. 45 gigapixel was made on April 23rd by a friend of Gizmodo named Gerald Donovan from the construction site of the Ubora Towers in Business Bay, Dubai. It took 4,250 images taken with a Canon 7D using a 100 by 400 millimeter zoom lens. He shot under the sun for 3 hours and 30 minutes with a temperature of 98 degrees Fahrenheit. Any of you that have ever been to the Middle East and felt the heat, the dry heat of the desert, you just don't want to be there. But what's interesting about this this panorama, you can zoom in and see this minute detail. 4,250 images. You just got to check it out. It's amazing. It really, really is. And it is being touted the world's largest panorama. Now, remember when President Obama was sworn in and how they had taken that panorama of the basically of the whole mall? That picture is small in comparison to this, but 4,250 images, and I'll have the link up in the show notes for you. Pretty big news today on Google Ventures, and Google is a year into operating its own venture capital arm, and they now have 10 companies that they have either invested in or taken a stake in, or probably, well, they've taken a stake in at least 10 companies, and there's some good information here for any of you that are doing startups. Google's essentially wants to find promising companies that Google can help rather than companies that will wholly help Google. And one of the companies one of the portfolio companies, a company called Pixazza, Pixazza, which uses image recognition to embed relevant ads and pictures. And a variety of other companies, they've released their portfolio, but their investment so far range from less than $500,000 to the tens of millions of dollars, and so looks like Google is looking to make it one investment every month, which is pretty aggressive. But I'll link up the show notes just for you to check out. All right, the FCC took a pretty big blow in a court case here a month or so ago where they were basically told to stand down when it comes to broadband regulation. Well, there's a little bit of politics at play. And article over on GigaOM is saying, does the FCC plan to give up on broadband regulation? There had been some rumors that that the FCC was going to try to have some legislation pushed through so that it would guarantee that they could regulate broadband. But really, at this point, it appears, and according to two sources, that the FCC is considering its recent court defeat to basically allow them to stand down on this. And so that's kind of interesting that the FCC may be walking away from trying to regulate broadband. Now, the question I have for all of you, the primary reason they really started down started this battle was over Comcast and their throttling. And basically, the courts have basically told the FCC, hey, you can't slap Comcast or anybody else around about their broadband policies. You don't have the right to do that. They took a pretty big beating over its attempt to implement net neutrality. And while I think we all, at least all of you that listen to this show, really want to make sure net neutrality is a part of the language space, or something that's going to protect us from bandwidth throttling of different applications and devices, the FCC may be walking away from this. What do you guys think? It scares me to think that they may walk away from this because broadband companies are cable companies, for the most part, and they make a lot of money off of cable channels and devices like the Google TV, like the Roku. These devices that you have you basically stream videos on your Blu-ray players that you're buying now from LG and a variety of different companies. My Samsung TV that I just purchased for my bedroom. basically a lot of stuff I can surf right on the television without having to, channel surf. I can actually get alternative content. So at what point does that become such a big threat that the cable companies say, oh, no, 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 we're going to throttle this, or try to charge extra money for it? Who knows? But we'll see. Right now, they are not able to regulate broadband. Reclassification is important to any business that plans to offer services via the web. And this would essentially give the FCC clear regulatory power over high-speed internet access. But, that is in question. So where do you stand on this? geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. All right, I've always talked to you guys about owning your own platform, having your own domain name, having your own blog, building your own brand. It's been basically a part of my whole business model at Raw Voice, is making sure that content creators, whether you do audio, video, or you're blogging, whatever it may be, that you have your own branding, you not be constrained by some other master, by some other company, or get into a vertical or get into this walled garden. And many folks that were using Ning, I guess Ning, N-I-N-G, basically got a big slap in the face when Ning says, hey, we're phasing out free service. And of course that was announced last month. So what are you guys that have Ning sites, what are you going to do? Where are you going to move to? Well, the folks over at masternewmedia.org has a list of Ning alternatives. Again, I always think that it's important that you are able to run your own website and basically build your own communities. Now, what they did over at Master New Media is they put some criteria into this. They wanted to have member profiles, be able to blog, forums, shared calendars, photo galleries, video, free and premium listings, and extra features. And they came up with a list of sites I've never heard of before: Igloo, Kick Apps, Elg, Big Tent, Yahoo Groups, Club, Yuki, Social Igo, Blast Group, Sprues, That's Day, Plig, Grouply. I know about Grouply. Groups, Group Site, and Buddy Press. I know Buddy Press and I know Grouply, but the rest of these I'm not familiar with. But anyway, they got a full rundown here, full comparison. So if you're looking to move off Ning and onto a platform that gives you some alternatives, definitely check out this article by Master New Media. And I have the link, of course, up in the show notes tonight. Article written by Michael Arrington over on TechCrunch, and he is entitled Hi Seattle. Well, it appears that Michael Arrington has moved from Silicon Valley and has moved his family to the Seattle area. And this, I guess, doesn't come as a surprise for a lot of people. But, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's he going to do in Seattle? And his question is, he says that I've written before that the best of the best come to Silicon Valley to compete. Seattle is a sort of like minor leagues of the startup world. I've argued from the safety of Silicon Valley. A few stars here and there, but the vast majority of winners come from Northern California, where fierce competition quickly separates the winners from the losers, and the losers can try something new. But he says, goes on to say, but that doesn't mean Seattle is a hotbed for entrepreneurism. And he says there are scores and scores of startups here. Honestly, just as I was telling some vendors or telling a group of people I was on the phone with on Friday, was that in order to build companies today, you don't have to be in Silicon Valley. It might help a little bit to be in Silicon Valley, but you look what we've done at Raw Voice, and Jeff's in New York, Angelo's in Ohio, Barry's in Michigan, Brian's in Colorado, I'm in Hawaii, and then we've got support staff that work with us that are all over the country. So, and we've built a successful business. It takes a little more work, but you don't have to be in the valley anymore. So, this whole, it really irritates me to think that people have to say you have to be in the valley to do a startup, a tech startup. Whatever. Seattle's a great place. I know there's a lot of startups up there. I know there's been a lot of startups that have started up and failed, just like everywhere else. And it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in New York, you're in Cincinnati, you're in Detroit, you're in Dallas, you're in Austin, you're in Denver. It doesn't matter where you're at. You can do a startup anywhere. So I guess it's not such a big deal that he's moved up there. But I'm actually kind of surprised that he has. be curious to see what they're going to be doing with their TechCrunch TV as well. That they've announced that they're going to launch here shortly. Be curious to see what kind of content they do there. All right, a Twitter embed. This tweet feature is coming tomorrow. Now, you guys know that podcasting was revolutionized by the ability to put an embed of the media in an RSS feed. That's how it really, between Dave Weiner and Adam Curry, they got it all figured out how to, have this happen and make it download automatically into podcatchers. Or at the time, we didn't have iTunes. We just had some third-party software that was built by Adam and some others. And now, what you're going to be able to, just like you embed a YouTube video on a blog post, now you're going to be able to embed a tweet in your blog post. I don't know if I see very many tweets that are worthy of an embed on a website. In a blog post called "Tweets Are the New Quotes," Twitter acknowledges that news organizations are increasingly using tweets as part of their coverage. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this is all going to work out. But it's going to put everything in a little box. What do you guys think about doing tweet embeds within your blog post? We'll see. As I said earlier, we're going to talk a little bit about IE9 and HTML5. Boy, Microsoft has really not endeared themselves to the community that is big on the OGV format with their announcement. But they have made their blog looks horrible too. Microsoft, come on, get with the action. It looks like a 1990s version of a website. It's horrible. But anyway, follow up on HTML5 video and IE9. Microsoft says, our recent post generated many comments and questions. The discussion of intellectual property rights is complex and invites many different points of view. This is a good opportunity to talk through the certainty and uncertainty relative to the goals of IE9 from Microsoft's point of views. So anyway, he goes on to talk about H.264 being a great video format, talks about the licensing issue, talks about codecs and specifically Microsoft's participation in the MPEG.LA format. And of course, we're about ready to invoke on licensing on H.264. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. I don't want to go in too deep on this. You guys know where I stand on this already. From my perspective, I think what's going to happen is the H.264 consortium, as a reminder of my point on this, is that the H.264 consortium at some point will be, they're just going to back down. They have no chance of licensing it the way they want to, and so we'll see. It's going to either get bought up or the owners of that, but we'll see what happens. And the challenge is going to be for Firefox is if they are going to have to license H.264, I think it's $1 million for them to get the rights to play back H.264 in the browser. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But you guys want to go through this and read the full show notes. Not the full show notes, but the full link here from the Microsoft team. Please do. Twitter suspended the accounts of 2BitTorrent sites without prior notice and little explanations. Apparently, both sites were regularly updating their Twitter accounts with links to freshly posted torrents. And this is reported over on Torrent Freak. Torrent has quashed the accounts of YourBitTorrent and Torrent Surf for abuse of the microblogging service, but no explanation was given. Yeah, someone complained. Not that I go to this website ever, but I guess the U.S. Treasury website was hacked, and this was tied into some hackings that took place on network solution hosted websites. Also says, and GoDaddy. I need to check into that more closely. It says the attack is most likely related to mass infections that 2 weeks ago hit hundreds of sites hosted by Network Solutions and GoDaddy. How come I never heard about GoDaddy before on this? Anybody have any juice on that? Send me a link if you guys find something. I'm going to dig around and see what I can find too. He goes on to say there's a very high probability that it's the same person. The only things they're changing are the domains. Basically, it was an SSL injection hack, and they were able to get into the system that way. But Hey, that's nice to know. The U.S. Treasury's website was hacked. I wonder if they can transfer money out of it. Scientists have created a laser that could make it rain. We all know that scientists and governments alike have fantasized about the ability to control the weather. There's also been, years and years of speculation that contrails that people see made by jets and other aircraft have been associated with weather seeding or whatever else. We all know that contrails largely exist when there's the right environment at altitude, when a jet encounters basically the right variables, and it's just it causes a cloud essentially. But they've shot a laser through a chamber of water-saturated air at minus 24 degrees Celsius, after which linear clouds could be seen to form in the laser's wake. Are scientists going to take over the world in the future? Check out the video of this theory after the jump. Now, while this was just done in a lab, they were able to create clouds with condensation. So I'm sure it's going to take a lot of power. But who knows? Kind of interesting. All right, here we go. Talk a little bit about file shares. Songwriters piracy. Oh, this is in relation to songwriters. The Songwriters Guild of America has a message for the government. They're saying start prosecuting file shares both criminally and civilly because file sharing is much worse than bank robbery. This is what, according to the Songwriters Guild of America. They go on to say there are numerous economic crimes of much lesser magnitude, such as bank robbery, that are routinely and fully investigated, for which law enforcement agencies such as the FBI have significant resource, complains the Guild. By contrast, online copyright piracy dwarfs bank robbery in causing economic loss. Yet the FBI has limited criminal investigative interest and no civil mandate whatsoever to pursue this devastating economic harm. This inequity must change. Okay. Think about this, folks. You walk into a bank, you put a piece on a piece of paper, give me all your money or I'm going to blow this bank up. Or you brandish a weapon and you do it by force, or however you get the money out of a bank. You are now being chased down by the FBI, and rightly you should be. That's flat out felony crime, stealing money, attempted robbery of a bank, and so forth. And of course, bank robbers are dangerous to people that are in the banks, because who knows what could happen. But yet they're going to quantify file shares as being as bad as bank robbers. You don't stick a gun at anybody. You don't put a note. Yes, you're stealing. Okay, yes, you're stealing. So that's, if you're taking something with a copyright and you're downloading it without paying for it by law in the United States, yes, that is stealing it. Now, if you already own it, then there is a question to be whether or not you're just getting a legal copy. We're not going to do semantics here. You're not going to hurt an individual physically. You may hurt someone in their pocketbook for the amount of royalties they don't get. But it's a big difference between robbing a bank and you think the FBI. Do you guys think the FBI's resources should be put against going after file shares? I'm not saying that stealing copyrighted material is right. Don't get me wrong here. But is that equitable? Are those two crimes? Okay, you've got a crime. You've done something, and it's, a misdemeanor at worst. Usually, because of maybe the value being low. But you go in a bank and steal a bag of money, you definitely got a felony just for the act of doing it. I don't know. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. Tell me what you think. Now, that being said, about file sharings being criminals and being equitable as, being equalized the same as bank robbers, did you know that file shares are the content industry's largest customers? A major study done by by Dutch file shares, I'm going to destroy this. Nico von, oh my God, Professor Nico of the University of Amsterdam concludes that there is no sharp divide between file shares and others in buying behavior. On the contrary, when it comes to attending concerts and expenses on DVDs and games, file shares are the industry's largest customers. There does not appear to be a clear relationship between the declining sales and file sharing. The study found that file shares often buy more content, especially when it comes to film and games. And he goes on, he's got a full PDF of the findings in the study that was done. Yet, organizations like the Songwriters Guild of America are equating file shares to criminals. Let me see, I'm trying to click on the next tab. Now, go along with that, a court, some new court filings, or some, basically, there's been a ruling highlighting the unsurprising fact that file shares cannot hide behind a First Amendment anonymity claim. So basically, what was challenged was basically file shares were saying, hey, my First Amendment rights are being violated when ISPs disclose who I am as the individual sharing files. Now, the courts basically have kind of backed off a little bit. The privacy claimed here is not for the information that the computer owner or user wishes to share, but rather for his or her identity. So in other words, when the RIAA Songwriters Guild says, okay, I want to know who owns this IP so I can prosecute him or sue him for file infringement, the court is saying that the privacy claimed is not for the information that the computer or user wishes to share, but again, only for his or her identity, which makes sense. So the courts have affirmed that you have no right to anonymity when it comes to having your information revealed on who you are when requested in a legal battle, whether or not you've been a file sharer or not, and they want to go after you. So that's really a loss for file sharers, but it makes sense. The student convicted of hacking Vice President candidate Sarah Palin's email has been found guilty on 2 counts, one of obstructing justice and the second on unauthorized access to computer. He faces up to 20 years in prison. This blows me away. 20 years in prison. We all know that he broke into the vice president candidate's email account in 2008 by guessing her password. The jury was unable to agree on the verdict on a charge of identity fraud, for which he could face another trial. So that ended up a hung jury. But the attorney for the individual said that his client's actions accounted to a college prank rather than a crime. The jury did not see this way, but it took him 4 days to reach a decision, so there was some battling obviously going on in the jury room. Now the question is, how much time does he really get? He's not going to get 20 years. Here's my gut on this. Depending on if the judge political. If the judge is a Democrat, he's going to get probation. If the judge is a Republican, he's going to get 10 years. Of course, judges don't have political affiliations, right? So my guess is if the judge has liberal leanings, he'll get probation. If the judge has conservative leanings, he'll probably get 10 years. But come on, guys. Would any of you really consider going out and you just got to know this is going to end bad? You just got to know. You go out, that's an immediate investigation by the Secret Service at the time. She was a presidential candidate. And immediately the Secret Service is all over this. And no matter how ridiculous her password was, she shouldn't have used the password she was using. That's just a good lesson to everybody. But this is definitely a politically charged charge. But what do you think he should get? Should he get probation? Should he get 20 years? Should he get 10? Should he have never got charged at all? geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. Be honest with you, stupid is, stupid does. Obviously, he should have taken a little more ethics classes in college before he did that. It just, it has to not end well. You're sitting there messing with this. It's bad enough to hack somebody's email, but you're hacking a vice presidential candidate's email. You just, duh. All right, Microsoft's browser share has dipped to below 60%. As of reported today, Microsoft is now sitting at 59.95, Firefox at 24.59, Chrome at 6.73, Safari at 4.72, Opera at 2.30, Opera Mini at 0.79, with 0.86% taking up the rest. And this is the first time IE has been below the 60% mark. So, wow. Just a year ago, Microsoft's market share was 8% higher. And I think, as I found, using Chrome, Chrome, in my opinion, is just as good as Firefox these days, with all the plugins available. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with IE if they can make a comeback here. Article run Tech Dirt. Why do we need warrantless wiretapping if not a single wiretap warrant request gets rejected? Now, we know the government has a warrantless wiretapping program. And, of course, it was found illegal and prone to serious privacy violations. That's in the past. But the latest report on official wiretaps that did receive a warrant shows not only that they were way up in 2009, but not a single request for a warrant to wiretap was turned down. Now, I think law enforcement on the whole, they're going after drug dealers. They're going after people that want to hurt this country, people that deserve to be spied upon, obviously. But it is interesting that not a single request for a warrant to wiretap was turned down. That's pretty huge. It's really huge. Now, of course, with this event that happened in New York City over the weekend, crazy stuff there. And I'm sure I would not want to be the individual that is found that would have drove that vehicle. They will throw the book at this guy, and he's going to be in jail a long, long time if they catch the individual. Lots of speculation going on about that right now, and I'm sure that the entire justice system is in overdrive trying to catch the individual or individuals that was involved in this. But thank God the bomber was stupid. Really. I guess that's the only thing we can be thankful for, because they really botched the job that they were trying to do. Thank God they did. And believe me, I want this individual caught just as much as the rest of you do. But crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy stuff. Now, of course, what's going on in the Gulf of Mexico, it's just makes you want to puke. It's horrible. They have to get this figured out in a hurry, or it's already bad. But boy, I haven't heard any guys comment on the Gulf of Mexico issue. I guess they're going to try to put a plug basically over the top of this thing that will basically force the oil into an oil tanker. They say it's like threading a needle to get this thing over the top of. I don't know if they're going to make it worse or what. But they got to do something. And many brains as we have in this country, as many smart people as we have, somebody's got to be able to figure something out. They need to really think outside the box on this one. And I guess we hope that they get it done. But boy, oh boy, it's horrible. I feel bad for anyone along the Gulf Coast. And of course, we could be looking at the eastern seaboard being affected if the oil makes itself around in the Gulf Stream as well. It could be devastating for many years to come. And anyway, those of you that live closest to it, you're most affected. But it's really, really horrible. It really is. All right, Fed says the federalities, in other words, the federal government says the judge that is blocking the investigation access to laptop spy of scandal photos. Okay, now this was written horrible. But anyway, what's going on? In that school case where there's as many as 57,000 photos being taken through students' webcams, the feds want access to the pictures. And what is being suspected here is that this individual who is spying on students at home may be facing some sort of child pornography type of charges. And the judge is basically blocking access to only those involved in the case, where the feds are saying, hey, we want to look. We want to see what's going on here and see if there's any additional charges that should be filed. So the feds are not real happy with this judge for blocking investigation access to these photos. So we'll see how this works out. But it's not good. They would have to restrain me if I was a parent in that school district. A little more information on Google TV and possibly running a custom version of Android. I think we all kind of suspected that, called Dragon Point. So more information is going to come out May 19th and 20th during a conference. So I'm holding my breath on that one. This next article by Engadget, this is just ridiculous. They did a review on a mouse with 18 buttons. It's called the War Mouse Meta, or what used to be known as Open Office Mouse. $79.99, comes with 512K of memory, and it has 18 buttons on it. How many of you honestly would go buy one of these? I think when you see it, you're going to be like, that's ridiculous. You can map it any way you want. You can map all the keys to different functions. Yeah, I'm going to run out and get one of those. Not. All right, what else have I got here for you tonight? There's a review of the USB 3.0 Super Crypt thumb drive. And this is a pretty cool thumb drive. It's USB 3.0, can make external hard drives pretty snappy. And so this Super Talent Super Crypt is a pretty capable performer. And it has write speeds of up to 185 megs per second. And encrypts it with a dual layer encryption code. So pretty cool stuff there. And the price on it is, oh my goodness, $119 for a 16 gig to $778 for a 256 gig. All coming, oh, it's actually SSD as well. Oh, that's interesting, in a size of a normal USB stick. Very cool, fully encrypted. Don't know if I want to carry around that pocket just for the price of it and chance of losing it. It's being reported Apple may be facing any trust inquiry over iPhone coding restrictions. Remember, Apple removed the ability for people to run a bunch of third-party apps like the Flash encoder or whatever they were using before. But apparently the government is interested in what Apple has done there, and Apple's going to face antitrust inquiry over this new decision. All right, that's it on regular content tonight here. A couple of articles at the end I'm not going to get into. Let me look at where we're at on time. Yeah, perfect on time. We're at an hour and 3 minutes. I got 2 voicemails for you. And then we're going to go ahead and get into the email. So again, if you have comments on tonight's show, 619-342-7365, 619-342-7365, geeknews@gmail.com. Haven't reviewed these voicemails already, so you guys will hear them for the first time as I am. And here comes the first one.
Hey, Todd, this is Dean from Alexandria, Virginia. Love the show. You do a great job. Really appreciate the effort you put into the show every time you do it. Hey, I wanted to call about your trip out to Michigan to visit with Ford. I think that's fantastic. There's so many innovations right now in the technology space happening with automobiles. I think it's going to be a great trip. One question I'd like to see you ask them is where they see diesel cars as part of their lineup in the future and part of the solution to our energy situation. You know, in Europe, they have all these highly efficient diesels, and we see a few of them here with Volkswagen and with Audi and now with BMW. I'd like to see Ford bring more diesels here, bring some of these European engines here. They run clean, they get great mileage, and they're much more durable than gasoline engines. So if you could ask about that, I'd really appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Hey, the voicemail cut off at the end, but I have it written down here. I'll transfer it to my notepad that I've got going for stuff I'm going to be asking Ford. Thanks for the call, and thanks for listening in there, and Alexandra, definitely appreciate it. Feel free to call back anytime with comments that you have on the show, and thanks for being, I think, your first-time caller to the show. First time I've heard a voicemail from you. All right, let's go ahead and get into the second voicemail of the night. Here it comes.
Hey, Dad, this is Bennett from Philly. I was just commenting on the TV things with the Google TV. See, to me, they're just rolling out what they really want to do very slowly. Like, pretty soon, I see solid-state drives being in TVs, and we're basically running computers from the TV, just with the TV as, like, the main component. But you're going to have Twitter, Facebook, and everything else up on there, including some type of browser or something soon. So right now I just think they're slowly letting things go so people can be excited, but eventually that's where it's going to go. Enjoy the show.
Hey, I agree. I think it's not going to happen slowly. I think it's going to happen very quickly. I think that the battle now is on for your eyeballs while you're sitting in your lazy boy with the remote control. As I been telling everybody, you know, not everyone knows how to get content onto a mobile device, but everyone in the country and the whole world knows how to use a remote control. Even a 2-year-old knows how to run a remote control. So as soon as we get the content accessible via our TVs, like they're doing with the Roku and the over-top TV boxes that are coming from Boxy with D-Link, coming from the folks at VU, coming from the Pop Box, all these different devices that are going to be competing for your consumer dollars, ultimately those boxes are going to go inside, and we're seeing it happen at a very fast rate. Not insider information, but everything that we hear is that Samsung is really being aggressive on this. So is Sony. They know this is the next frontier for content because, you know, while people think it's cool having laptops on their laps while they're watching TV, why not get access to that same content with your remote control? Picture-in-picture, where you're watching a regular TV show and you got something else going on the side. You know, there's all types of possibilities. We're excited about it. That's why we're going to be developing a lot of channels for different apps over the coming year here. Let me go ahead here and load up email comments. I don't know how many we got over the past couple of days. I've been on mobile, so let me see here, waiting for these things to load, and I should have had this queued up already. Here's one of those uncomfortable interludes that happen during the show while good old Thunderbird is saying, hey, I'm opening the folder to the Geek News Central comments. Okay, here we go. Finally loaded up. I got an email from Andrew. Andrew's a long-time listener of the show. He says, hey, Todd, here's some pictures of the oil rig disaster, and this is in a remarkable PDF. And I'm going to figure out a way to get this up so you guys can see this. There's no link to it, but it shows the fire of the Horizon platform before it collapsed. I haven't seen these anywhere else, so I'll try to figure out a way to get these linked up for you. I'll probably upload it and put it in the show notes someplace. But when you guys see this, you'll understand how that oil platform was doomed from the very beginning. You can just, you can almost tell they were fooling themselves thinking that it wasn't. And of course, the email is loading horribly slow, and it's bound to irritate me here. And I don't know why, because I'm on a different connection than the stream is for the actual email. And don't you hate that when sometimes it just sits there and spins at me? There we go. It's just loading a little text message down. He says, good take on Flash and iPhone and Friday's show. It's true. This is actually Jason from Woodland, Texas. Good take on Flash and the iPhone and Friday's show. It's true that current Flash implementations would drain batteries and don't have a UI that would mesh well with multi-touch style interfaces of the iPhone. But it's painfully obvious that if iPhone web browsers were to support Flash with a future update, Adobe would immediately direct development resources toward making Flash very iPhone friendly, and Flash apps would suddenly be able to compete with App Store apps. Apple loves the openness of the HTML platform because it's open for them to support exactly what they want to support with their closed platform and nothing more. That said, I can't stand Flash. I like my apps and I like websites that are optimized for the iPhone. Between the two, I don't need anything more. By the way, a jailbroken iPhone doesn't seem very wife-proof to me. You're a braver geek than I, Jason, Woodland, Texas. Jason, when I went home, actually, I was all prepared to go to the T-Mobile or Verizon or Apple Store to get my lovely wife whatever her heart desired. But she basically, I got in the car and she hands me the phone and she says, when you get home, you're going to fix this. And I'm like, yes, dear. So my son and I jailbreaked her phone. And yeah, he wiped everything, and I don't know what he did because was not able to recover pictures. Luckily, the SIM card that was in there from T-Mobile, I was able to import most of her telephone numbers, but it wasn't pretty around the house. But my son and I got the phone. He understands now the whole process, so he won't be doing that again. I can guarantee it. Thanks for the email, Jason. Got an email from Trucker Tom. He says, why does the Wall Street regulations overhaul give FTC authority over the internet? And he says, that's the question Ed Morrissey asked at Hot Air, commenting on publicized portion of the House version of financial reg legislation that would be in the Washington Post summary, allow the FTC to issue rules on a fast track and permit the agency to pose civil penalties on companies that hurt consumers. Morrissey raises a series of disturbing queries. I guess, Tom, I need to read through this whole article to fully get this. I have this link up in the show notes, but the title of it is, why does the Wall Street regulation overhaul give FTC authority over the internet? So, I don't know, but I need to read this from you. Thanks for the link. It'll be up in the show notes. Got an email here from Kevin. He said, hey, just listen to show number 571 and wow on the Facebook item. As soon as I heard, I paused and closed account and made sure the reason had linked to this respective article from the show notes. Not sure if you know that Leo Laporte left Facebook earlier due to concerns over what the Social Graph API exposes. He says, P.S. I still use floppies for old machines, Macintosh Classic, Toshiba T1100, Commodore Amiga 500, NEC Versa V50, 46 laptop, compact LTE. I'd be in trouble if my box of repurposed 400K old Mac, 720K old PC, and possibly Amiga 1.4 megabyte PCs were gone since they're my primary medium for access along with the PCMCIA LAN and PCMCIA to compact flash. Anyway, great show. Keep up the work. Dude, why are you just like holding on to all that stuff? Are you When I retire computers, it's like, go away. I don't want to see it again. I love nostalgia. Don't get me wrong. Who was the guy that ran a BBS for years after it become, it really wasn't cool to run one no more. I did. But, wow. Those are some machines there, dude. Stock up on disk now, and you can probably find stuff on eBay if you need to buy some stuff. Got an email from Chris. Hey, Todd. Hope things are well in the geek world. Thought I would drop you this link. It's a HBO miniseries, but check the images. Classic stuff not far from you. And this is basically images. And these are pretty cool. Captured from the Pacific. And how many of you seen the Pacific series going on in HBO? I'm sure there's more to the title. But the Denver Post has a bunch of pictures from World War II that I hadn't seen before. Link will be up in the show notes. Had actually responded to George from LA about being able to find the GoDaddy codes. Hey, don't George, they're in the second column of the website, okay? That's where you can find the links to them. Got an email from Steve. He says, hey, I listen to you religiously, but I think most people look at the purchase in a wrong way. What is this response to? Palm and HP, okay. I listen to you religiously, but I think most people look at this purchase the wrong way. I'm not sure HP wants to make a phone. I feel they may be leaning toward a web OS tablet or other device. Yes, they would need to make it more app-centric versus web-centric, or perhaps what if they take the beautifully multitask web OS was known for and layered it on Android. Now I have a great base mobile, popular OS, and have a great UI, work for HTC and the Sense UI. And let us not forget the long list of patents and IP Palm owned. Palm never took action against anyone, and I'm sure HP will not, but think of the ramifications lawsuits create, the financial possibilities for our are huge for HP. I think in the long run, the purchase may not be a bad deal after all. Love the good work. Keep up the great work. And let me see what date that was on. Okay, that's a good one. Jeffrey from Geekosine says, "You talk too much? Need to send that as a laugh." In response to someone that responded in their email to me that I talk too much. That's what the show is all about, right? And this is email from Lamar. "Hey, I bumped it." This is about the movie. "I bumped it and even dropped it a few times. It still works just fine. I've recommended it to my friends and they're enjoying the technology. One of the guys may be great for testing it because he's pretty rough on electronics." Lamar, don't drop it on the power connector. I'm telling you right now. And hopefully I didn't read this email already. Yeah, that's it. That's all for tonight. Yep, that's all the links. That's all the emails. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. 619-342-7365. Of course, geeknews@gmail. That's where you can email me. Next show will be here in Albuquerque, of course, and then back to Honolulu. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Everyone take care out there. Be safe. Those of you on Ustream, I'll hang out and chat a little bit. But everyone take care. And until next time, aloha.